The addictive nature of everything from doing drugs to eating cheese and checking your phone has been attributed to dopamine. Some people call it the chemical of want and desire. But why is that? Let's talk about dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter produced in the brain which acts as a chemical messenger. It releases when you do an activity that is pleasurable or brings rewards. The more anticipation that builds up, higher are the odds of dopamine being raised. Hence, this causes your brain to put in more focus on the pleasurable activity. When we're feeling down, we tend to reach for things that will give us a quick hit of pleasure, if not long-term satisfaction. We choose mind-numbing TV in lieu of a good night's sleep, pound beers instead of interrogating the sources of our stress, and doom scroll while ignoring the facets of our lives we can actually control. Think of it this way. Why do you enjoy watching a series, watching Instagram stories, or hanging out with friends more than any task which is goal-oriented? There's a reason why our brain can become so dependent on dopamine. Once it develops tolerance, it requires more and more dopamine, and normal tasks become difficult to complete. By now, we've understood that the only way to really enjoy something is when the brain sees some dopamine coming out of the activity. One way of going about it is to devoid yourself of any activity which brings pleasure for the time being. Cocaine is the most extreme example of the train coming off the tracks. Cocaine is like a feel-good hand grenade. Use it and you release a flood of dopamine in your brain. The problem is that use decreases the number of dopamine receptors in the brain, thereby increasing tolerance for the drug and creating an environment where users need to take more and more of the drug to receive the same effects. This is why 15 to 30% of people who use cocaine become addicted. When cocaine use stops, for good, the brain is able to recover, rebuild the number of receptors, and lower its tolerance. Does fasting work for cocaine addiction? Sure, but does a dopamine fast work for things that release smaller dopamine bursts, like scrolling on Twitter or doing a little online shopping? Addictive behaviors like emotional eating, excessive internet usage, gambling, porn addiction, and drug use aren't all driven by dopamine. Dopamine fasting is not actually fasting from dopamine. The act of dopamine fasting actually has to do with the impulsive behaviors that reinforce the cycle of dopamine. A neuroscience researcher at New York University says that people can indeed exert some control over dopamine levels. A person can exert limited control over their dopamine or norepinephrine levels. Exercise and many other elements of a healthy lifestyle can boost dopamine activity in sustainable ways. Think of the receptors as a signal receiver, and changes in the dopamine as a detected signal. In a healthy dopamine system, receptors would be plentiful, and dopamine would exhibit a pattern: moderate levels at rest, heightened levels when confronted by a cue or motivational significance, and quick, strong pulses when an unexpected reward is obtained, or rapid declines when an unexpected reward is withheld. But the dopamine system is dynamic in nature, meaning that it's always changing and adapting according to what our body needs. It will respond to the levels of stimulation an individual is exposed to. It's perfectly healthy and reasonable to take some time away from the never-ending demands of an always-on lifestyle. We used to call this taking a vacation. Dopamine fasting as a term is an interesting conversation starter, but it's better if we call it just vacation or simply taking a break. It may be helpful to take a technology break from time to time. The simple rule to follow is to avoid engaging in any activity which stimulates the brain. It could be browsing your phone, avoiding screen time, porn and masturbation, gambling and shopping, thrill and novelty seeking, recreational drugs, listening to music. The idea of following such a detox plan sounds radical, but there's a smaller version of the plan which is easier to be followed. For 1 week, refrain from doing activities which seem pleasurable or dopamine boosting. This is a method for recenter and refocus your brain on other activities which need attention. Or you can start with a few hours, days, and then weeks. Taking a break from these activities that trigger the brain's neurotransmitters, people become less dependent on the emotional hits that dopamine provides, which can sometimes lead to dependence or addiction. There's also a variation of the plan which makes one use dopamine as rewards for a tough activity you do. Spend time doing something which is difficult for you, and at the end of successful completion, you can reward yourself with a small activity doing what you love. The detox plan is followed by a lot of high thinkers and intellectuals who credit this as a means of keeping sharp. So guys, would you like to take this break for a few hours, days, or weeks? Let me know in the comments below. If you're looking for more content like this, They're all available for you in this channel. You've just got to make sure you've subscribed and turn on notifications so you never miss one. See you in the next video.